Hello everyone, and welcome to my guide for Yanfei. Yanfei is beloved by many for her status as Liyue's legal advisor and her adeptal lineage. She got some much deserved attention in the Chasm event, and has always been on the radar as a very solid character in most aspects. She's very fun in both personality and gameplay, and has some pretty interesting builds, all of which are more than just viable. Today, I'm going to show you how to lay down the law as Yanfei. Starting with her talents, as a Catalyst user, she has a very fun quick and normal attack chain of 3 hits with good range. Her charge attack deals a large AoE that her entire kit revolves around. Using her normal attacks gives her stacks of what are called Scarlet Seals, up to 3, matching her attack sequence. The stacks are consumed with G charge attacks to deal more damage. Her elemental skill is an immediate instance of AoE pyro damage that gives her max stacks immediately. Her elemental burst is also an immediate instance of pyro damage. After using it, she immediately gains max stacks as well, and continues to gain stacks over time, and it increases her charge attack damage even further. Her first ascension talent increases her pyro damage for every seal consumed, and her second makes it so that when her charge attacks crit, another instance of pyro damage immediately happens. Now we'll go over her constellations, which also tend to be in line with her base kit revolving around her charge attacks. Her first constellation reduces charge attack stamina consumption based on the amount of seals, allowing for more uses before needing to pause. Her second con increases her charge attack crit rate against enemies below half HP. Her third and fifth constellations are 3 levels to her skill and burst respectively. Her fourth constellation is by far the most interesting in my eyes. It makes it so that using her burst gives the team a shield based on her HP. Her last constellation increases her max seal stacks by 1. I know I don't have her C6, but it's not too important showing off her build, so don't worry about that too much. So, as you can tell, Yanfei is built entirely around her charge attacks, with the sole exception of her C4. So the first build will be exactly for that, maximizing her charge attacks as a main DPS. For this build, the weapon choice is fairly straightforward. For 5 stars, all of them are amazing, with the best option being the Skyward Atlas. For 4 stars, the Widsith, Dodoko Tails, and Solar Pearl are all great options if you have them. If not, the craftable Mapamare is a very solid choice. For artifacts, you actually have a pretty good amount of options as well. 4-piece Crimson Witch is what I'd recommend most, followed by 4-piece Wanderer's Trait. You could also run her with 2-piece Crimson Witch and 2-piece of any of the attack percents. For the pieces on those, it's very straightforward: attack percent timepiece, pyro damage goblet, and crit add for whatever crit stat you need more of. Depending on the team, elemental mastery through substats or the Wanderer set might not be a waste. The next build is somewhat similar to the previous in that it revolves around Yanfei being on field, but rather than focusing on her pyro damage, we're going to focus on her reaction damage. This is mostly for the Overload and Virgin reactions. You can also feel free to combine this in the previous build in fun ways and still have pretty reasonable results. First, for weapon, you'll want to focus on elemental mastery. Right now, there are no 5 stars that really fit the bill, but Kusanali's signature weapon, 1,000 Floating Dreams that's coming up, is likely going to be the best option. After that, the Sacrificial Fragments would be the best option, followed by the Wandering Even Star. For something more readily accessible, the Fruit of Fulfillment will give good elemental mastery and is a good option, but the Mapamare will give better results sooner as it doesn't need to gain stacks over time. For artifacts, the best set is the 4-piece Gilded Dreams, followed by a 2-piece set of Gilded Dreams and 2-piece Wanderers. On the pieces, you'll obviously just want to maximize elemental mastery wherever you can. The last build is the most different and a way to play her that's very interesting to me. That is to build her as a shielder utilizing her 4th constellation. The main stats for her on this build are her HP and her energy recharge to keep that shield up consistently. For weapons, there are only 3 I'd really recommend, and they're not in the order you might think. First is the Everlasting Moonglow Kokomi's signature weapon. It provides a great amount of HP, and you can stay on field for a bit after bursting to get some energy back and do some damage. Now that's the weapon I'd actually recommend the least of the 3. Next is the Thrilling Tails. Basically everyone already knows how good this weapon is, thanks purely to its passive boosting the team's damage output. But with this build, its HP stat is also great. The weapon I would recommend the most, though, is the Prototype Amber, which you could craft. It expands her role past purely shielding to allow for some healing in her kit as well. This healing can also be pushed further with some artifact choices we'll talk about. The set I would recommend the most, however, is running her with 2-piece Tenacity and 2-piece Emblem of Severed Fate. You could also consider running her on 4-piece Noblesse to give your team more damage if your shielding is already adequate. If you're running Yanfei with the Prototype Amber, I'd also recommend trying 2-piece Tenacity and 2-piece of the healing bonus sets if your energy recharge could keep up. You can also give her more healing bonus in her crown. Otherwise, running her with HP Crown and Goblet is the way to go. For the sands, it really depends on whether you need recharge or if you're okay without it. If you're okay without it, then obviously go for more HP to maximize that shielding. While Yanfei initially seems to be pretty pigeonholed into being an on-field main DPS, she's oddly more flexible in builds than you'd think. All of her builds are fun and easily viable in my options, so give them a try if you want. None of them are too hard to build, and the craftable options are actually pretty good for her. If you found this guide helpful in any way, please leave a like on the video and subscribe for more. If you have any questions, comments, or recommendations, please leave a comment. I love talking about this game, so I'm likely to reply if it's something I can reply to. I look forward to any feedback, and with that, bye everyone, have a great day.